Happy New Year, folks. This is Abel James, and thanks so much for listening to Fat Burning Man, where we talk about real food and real results. Today, we're here with a master fermentationist, avid outdoorswoman, and my good friend, Miss Summer Bock. You're going to learn how to upgrade your gut health with probiotics, how to properly complete a cleanse, and I'll even share a few tips to help you out with New Year's resolutions in just a minute. But before that, I've got some big news. You may have seen my ugly mug on commercials recently for a new show on ABC. It's got a cheeky title called My Diet is Better Than Yours, and I'm starring with celebrity trainers, including Sean T. of Insanity, who gives the best bro hugs ever. Tune in at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central on Thursdays on ABC and see Fat Burning Man's Fat Burning Plan, the Wild Diet in action. I can't give you any spoilers, but I know you're going to dig it. So don't forget to tune in and see what real food can do. The Wild Diet will also be featured in People magazine, hitting the newsstands right now. So pick it up and check that out. And I just want to say, if you've been following Fat Burning Man or my work for a while, I sincerely appreciate the support. I couldn't do any of this without you guys. So thank you so much for following me and believing in what we do. I certainly do, and I couldn't do any of it without you. So thank you. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the very best this new year. Now for a few quick tips to help you drop fat and get results with your New Year's resolutions. Number one, be specific with your goals. Instead of saying, I want to lose weight or I want to get in shape, say, I'm going to get back to my high school weight. Number two, upgrade the quality of your meats. This is where a lot of people slack off, especially in the paleo world. Switch to grass-fed, pasture-raised meat if you can find it, and it's getting easier and easier to do that, instead of the factory-farmed stuff that you usually find in most grocery stores and chain restaurants and things like that. You'll be amazed by the difference in taste, and it will also make a massive difference in your health. Number three, stay away from sugar and grains, especially in the morning, to stay in fat burning mode. It's one of my little hacks to make sure that I'm not putting on fat, because normally when I'm eating grains or something sugary in the morning, I'll be hungry for the rest of the day. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. So go for a high protein and maybe even a high fat breakfast. Number four, this one's really important. Try a new recipe every single week. We want you to fall back in love with real food. So I suggest you try the Wild Diet Bacon Cheeseburger. Very easy to make, especially with high quality meat. And maybe you could try the Wild Diet Chocolate Pudding. It's something that we have really been loving lately. We make it with avocados, actually, so it's got real food in it. You can find tons of free recipes at fatburningman.com. Just type recipes into the search bar or check it out up top. I know you're going to love them. So did you make a New Year's resolution to drop a few pounds, shed that spare tire, improve your health, or get in the best shape of your life? Well, did you know that over 65% of people who make resolutions actually include fitness goals in their promise to be healthier this new year? Not so promising, though, is that 1 in 3 will have abandoned their goals by the time the end of the month rolls around. Many people quit because they either lack knowledge about how to accomplish their goals, or they don't have a supportive community to make sure that they are accountable and that they stick to it. I get it. We're all swimming in misinformation when it comes to health, fitness, and nutrition. But the good news is that we're here for you with all of the tools, motivation, and support you need to get in the best shape of your life. And this year, we're doing something exciting with our online community, the Fat Burning Tribe. We're just about to launch the Wild Diet 30-Day Challenge to help you succeed this year. You can get all the details by typing in from any device, fatburningman.com/challenge. During this challenge, we're providing everything you need to get rapid fat loss, including our 30-day meal plan, shopping lists, recipes, videos, motivation journals, and community support. Everything has been planned out for you. Following the Wild Diet, our readers and listeners have lost 20, 60, even more than 100 pounds eating real, delicious food. Some have leaned down to 3% body fat for fitness competitions. Others have shattered their personal bests in races. What will you do this year? To celebrate our 30-day challenge, we're even giving away goodies like autographed copies of my best-selling book, The Wild Diet, spiralizers, crock pots, lifetime memberships to Thrive Market, and even a squishy bacon pillow. And if you join the Wild Diet Challenge today, you'll get your first month of the entire program for just $1. It's a value of more than $100. So don't wait. The bonuses and giveaways expire soon. Don't give up on your fitness goals. Join the fat burning tribe, make friends in fitness, and get your game on with the Wild Diet 30-day challenge. All you have to do from any device is type in fatburningman.com/challenge. One last time, that's fatburningman.com/challenge. I'll see you there. All right, on to the show with my good friend Summer Bock, a master fermentationist. On this show, you'll learn how to do a cleanse the right way, why Summer went from party girl to herbologist, the truth about the golden poo, the best exercise advice I've ever heard, natural allergy remedies, and much more. All right, let's go hang out with Summer. All right, folks, today we're here with my friend Summer Bock, a master fermentationist, a trained herbalist from the New Mexico College of Natural Healing. She has a background in microbiology and is certified in integrative nutrition through Columbia University. She graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York City. Summer has created an avid following through her clear, fun, and educational approach to gut health, cleansing, and the art of fermentation. She's based just down the road in Chattanooga, Tennessee. What's cooking, Summer?
Well, I'm just totally excited to be here. I love your show. I love what you're promoting, and I can't wait to have a conversation with you.
Oh, come on, pshaw. So we've gone on some hikes together. We've hung out. Summer is awesome. Let me just say that to everyone to begin, but let's talk about how you went from, I think you put it this way, from party girl to herbologist.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. In my late teens and early 20s, I think people have experienced this themselves. But, I partied really hard, and I kind of just didn't know what else to do. I know that sounds kind of strange, but that's what I
went to
thought
Dartmouth. I get it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, there you go. And, it actually wasn't the best thing for me. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of underlying stuff going on, sure. Not only constitutionally, but I had taken antibiotics, a number of times throughout my childhood. And then I had like some emotional stress come up, and it was just like this explosion, and my health really just deteriorated very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. But here's the crazy thing. I didn't really know it because I kept partying, and I'm right. Just like doing this thing, right? And so I end up going to herbal medicine school after, a long path. And I'm there, and I learned how to do a cleanse, and I'm doing my first cleanse of my entire life, and I'm mm-hmm. early 20s. And I have this moment where I feel like a wool blanket was just pulled out of my brain. And I looked around, and everything was crystal clear, and I felt grounded. It might have been the first time in my life where I didn't feel this sense of impending doom.
Yeah.
And it was just an awesome experience. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need everybody to know what this feels like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I thought in that moment too was, oh my gosh, I am not well.
Yeah.
The rest of the time. Mm-hmm. This is how I'm supposed to feel.
That is such a powerful thing to experience. And I think a lot of us kind of get that, whether it's the first time you cleanse, the first time you start doing a diet that really works with your body. You go away from partying every night. I was paid in alcohol for years as a musician. So when it's incredible when you experience this feeling awesome, almost levitating type feeling. You're on a totally different level than you were before. Now you kind of teach people to reach that moment, maybe for the first time in their lives. What do you do to get to that point?
I actually have done a lot of cleanses since that cleanse and have suffered through a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. And what I realized is that, one of the main premises for cleansing well is that it has to feel good. Mm-hmm. Like you can't, a lot of people have heard about juice cleansing or the master cleanse or all of these crazy things. And the truth is you just have to feel really good while you're cleansing, or you're not going to be able to do it again, because your body's not going to let you do something painful over mm-hmm. and over and over again, unless there's a huge reward. And for some reason, when it comes to that hump of cleansing, like you just have to feel good or you won't keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so I've just really focused on gut health. Like I focus on digestion. I focus on getting your digestion working really good. And I focus on getting all the bad bacteria out of your gut. And I have this cleanse and gut rebuilding program set up to where people can literally just like figure out foods to eat that aren't going to feed the bad bacteria. And during this whole process, they start cleansing. It involves 100% alkaline forming foods if they can handle it. Some people can't. Some people, it's still a little bit too deep. So we have gentle phases. And we do this thing, we call it like the lever. Like you can actually like speed up or slow down the cleanse, depending on, you know, what foods you're incorporating into your daily diet.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about those foods, because now I'm curious. So what are the different, you know, to turn up the juice as you as you will, or like push that lever in the right direction or pull it back a little bit. So what are you doing? What are you tweaking?
Right. Well, so I mean, for example, like water is going to be the ultimate fast. Right. If you're drinking just water, after a period of like even 24 hours, your body will start to kind of go into a detox mode where it's like, okay, we don't have any food to eat right now. So we're going to start finding like basically glycogen in the muscles and things like that. But over time, your body will actually start to go through and recycle diseased cells and, actually, break down the proteins, reuse the proteins and get rid of the stuff it doesn't need. Your body's ability increases as you cleanse or as you fast to do that, which is fascinating. But so water is kind of like the fastest, like putting on the gas all the way. And then I have juice kind of behind that, vegetable juice and then fruit juice, and then smoothies. Those, are a little bit slower than water and things like that, because with smoothies, you're having the fiber. So it's going to start to slow down that process. It's, you're actually having to use the colon in order to do the digestion. I mean, if you're just drinking water and juice, say, you're kind of bypassing the colon. There's not a lot of stuff that's going to make it all the way to the colon. So you're going to be going pretty fast into cleansing mode. And then as we back it down from there, it's, vegetables and fruits. And then, we kind of move into like some of the fermented foods, like sauerkraut, of course, one of my favorites. And then, there's basically like some grains and beans. This is where it gets a little bit murky for people. It's like, I might say like starchy vegetables for some folks. For some folks, it might be some gluten-free grains. And then we move into like proteins from there.
Gotcha. So
that's your cleansing lever.
Where do you start? Do you start with the more intense stuff for the first few days and then you dial it back and forth? How does that work? Where are you introducing these different foods?
Yeah, no, I mean, I really start people out with eating like food. Like we don't want to have it be too fast, too soon. And I think something unique that I do in all my programs is we do pH testing so that people can tell, we look at your saliva, we do an average urine pH, and we just want to know how much are you detoxing? How much acidity is coming out of your body and how much are you having to process? And I've just noticed this really amazing correlation between the pH. If your pH starts to get really acidic, that's associated with an increase in cleansing reactions like headache, nausea, fatigue, like feeling really funky. And we don't want people feeling that way. So I always say, like, let's stay one step ahead of the cleansing reactions.
I like that.
Yeah. So, it's actually really helpful. So for some people that means really there are some people who start my cleanse who will be eating some meat. Just because that's the only way to keep their body from cleansing too fast. So
with people who are, I've seen so many people do cleanses the wrong way, right? And it's disastrous because a lot of bad things can happen when you starve yourself and think that that's what you're doing, right? So how do you, I guess, bridge that gap between health and disorder, right? Because a lot of people kind of get the wrong idea, whether it's starting a new diet, certainly starting a cleanse, doing a juice fast or any type of fasting. It's a slippery slope. So how do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, that's actually like one of the biggest things I deal with is people wanting to they're like, I feel so good, so I just decided not to eat anything for the rest of the day. And I'm like, that's not how it works. So what you eat today determines how you feel in 2 days. And so we talk a lot about that. Okay, what you eat today. So you feel really good today because of what you ate 2 days ago, not because you're not eating anything today. And so if we just keep on that premise of, looking 2 days out, what I'm going to do today to take care of myself, really helps people slow it down. And I also think that like, I think this happens across the world. I see it a little bit more with my American clients.
Yeah.
That there's sort of this all or nothing attitude. And if you're not doing it all, you're not doing it right. And so you just have to go and do the whole thing, you know, on this very, like one end of the extreme.
Yeah.
And that, you know, in terms of health, that couldn't be further from the truth. And that's kind of like, so when I do cleansing with people, we do it for just, you know, it's usually a 10-day cleanse.
Yeah.
And that's not sustainable. Like, I don't want somebody to be cleansing for the rest of their life or even for the next 3 months. I want them to do it for 10 days, have an awesome experience, and then create sustainable habits to rebuild their gut, get their digestion up. Because honestly, I think most health issues are from, you know, 3 main causes. I think it's nutrient depletion. I think it's from being toxic. And I also think it's from not having like the right herbs or supplements or foods in your diet. It doesn't have to be like, you know, supplements, but like really having herbal allies coming in to help you, you know, do the healing work you need.
Yeah. So for you on a day-to-day basis, who are your allies from an herbal perspective?
You know, I make friends with a lot of different herbs throughout my life and things. And let's see, what is like a current one? One of my current herbal allies, this one's always been like my secret weapon in my back pocket.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Is holy basil.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
You know, I am just a huge fan of holy basil. It just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I feel like the work that I've been doing on healing my body. So I was like super, super sick. You know, I had like multiple chemical sensitivity. I had tons of food allergies. I was like hives, rashes, severe environmental allergies. Like I'd have to go home because my eyes would start swelling shut.
Really?
And I mean, I was miserable and my digestion sucked and it really sucked. So I would wake up in the middle of the night with panic attacks because my body was in this state of such like high adrenaline trying to shut down this huge inflammation response that was happening constantly. So yeah, I mean, I was super, super sick for quite a while. And in the process of figuring this stuff out, you know, I did fermented foods. I did a lot of gut rebuilding and things like that. And I got pretty far with it. And that's what I teach people. But I think, you know, the reason that I love holy basil so much is because it has been a teacher for me in the later stages of my healing process, which has involved me learning how to relax. Like I really deeply relax and trust and like feel security and like feel trust and faith that everything is as it should be, and not feel like some crazy woo-woo person that's just like, oh, butterflies and love and sunshine. Like it's, I mean, you know, I roll my eyes at people who are like, everything is fine,
right?
You know, but that has been my true path of like the last stages of healing for me is like figure out how to relax, and holy basil is just what a wonderful ally in like teaching you how to do that.
It's fascinating, right? Because you can take some herbs, whatever supplements, a bunch of different stuff, even drugs in some cases, and you're like, is that in my head? I don't know if I really feel that, but I can say holy basil, rhodiola, I feel those when I take them, and I take them almost every day because it's, you know, being a type A like both of us are, it's pretty easy to get ahead of yourself and want to just keep pushing, why? Right? Like relax a little bit, take it easy. And it seems like for whatever reason, and I'm sure there are a lot of biochemical reasons for that, but those herbs in particular have been really, really powerful for me in my journey in all of this as well. Why do you think that is?
I mean, I think it's burnout. I think it's adrenal exhaustion. I mean, there's, you know, like I was exhausted because I was so sick, partially, but I was also exhausted because of stress. Yeah. You know, and some of the stress is self-induced, you know, in a way, but it's taught. Like, I think, you know, in the culture I was raised in, stress was just the norm. I mean, it still is the norm. And, you know, I do a lot to combat that on a regular basis. And I look at, you know, when I'm working with my clients, you know, it's one of the things that I talk about with every single person. You know, we talk about the food, but we talk about stress too, because you can't get into a state of rest and restore if your adrenaline is pumping. And if you're not in a state of rest and restore, your body isn't healing. You're like, you're just running from the tiger still, right? You can't heal while you're running from the tiger. It's not gonna work. Like,
I don't think you can. I had a really interesting conversation with our mutual friend Pedram Shojai about some of this. The way that, especially you go to a competitive school, you want to excel. The way that we're trained, especially in the Western world, in this system, is that the better you do, the more you have to stay on the top, and the more you have to learn, and the more degrees you have to get, and then you have to excel even more. And then the way that you let off steam is by going out with your friends, drinking all through the night for 2 weeks straight, getting wasted. That party hard, work hard mentality really sets a lot of people up for disaster. So coming from that, how do you help heal people out of that way of thinking, that way of living?
Yeah, I mean, most people who come to me at this point are in some level of health crisis, and they're really at the place where they're ready to change. So there's some motivation there in terms of understanding they want to get out of it. That's really my favorite person to work with. Somebody who comes and they're like, I'm ready. Let's do something, but I would say the main thing that I think about in terms of this is, this is really, it's like a gut rebuilding issue. I mean, I say that term a lot. That's like a program that I developed because I really do think that a lot of the research that's showing us that the gut is the foundation of health is just profound.
Yeah.
Because it's saying if you can take care of your gut, you're going to be okay for the most part. I mean, you're at least going to feel good, have, good attitude, not get diabetes, not get arthritis and, asthma and all allergies and be overweight. These are a lot of the things connected to it. And so I think of it in terms of how do people get to that spot? So I always explain the same kind of metaphor is that antibiotics and processed foods or just nutrient lacking foods, that's that's the kindling and the lighter fluid. And so you can put that lighter fluid and that kindling all over your house, right? And stress is really the match and that flame that lights it all on fire. So you can have a lot of kindling and flammable materials everywhere and not really have that catch on fire until the stress comes in. And that's when people usually see kind of the break in their health or the shift where they're just whoa, I am at a point of no return. How do I get back?
What happens to people at that point? How do they know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, I'm usually seeing people who come to me with allergies. They gain weight quickly without knowing why. Their thyroid's falling out.
Yeah.
A lot of the issues I deal with also are skin issues, acne and psoriasis and rashes and things like that. Bloating is a common one.
Sure.
And, we've been talking about this a lot this week. But we call it the epitome of gut health in my world is called the golden doodle.
Okay.
And so people are not having that. I'll just tell you that.
Okay. That's a tweet right there, by the way. The golden. Well, obviously, talk more about that. What does that mean exactly?
I mean, it just means that when you go to the bathroom, it's effortless and easy, and we call it a clean break. You don't have to really wipe. I mean, you should, but
sure.
That's really how we describe it to people. And I mean, I think that people should be looking at that and making sure that that's working well. If it's not, I mean, you have this multiple times a day chance to kind of self-diagnose.
Right. Yeah. I think some gym rats might call that the turbo poo. Fiber works, man. Fiber works.
Well, and fiber works, but you have to have the right bacteria in there to make that work properly. I mean, that's really key. It's you look at the way that bacteria function in your digestive tract. They're conjugating bile salts and really actually making things slippery and smooth and sticky so they can move through your colon effortlessly.
Yeah. So what can you do if you're starting from a spot where you're kind of getting into revamping your diet, you want better gut health, you might be experiencing something where it's this isn't working as well as it should be. What can you do to kind of get on the right track?
Yeah, my favorite recommendation usually is to bring probiotics into the diet somehow. I mean, that was a big cornerstone for me. But so I'm trained as an herbalist, so I always ask myself, what was the whole food version of probiotics? Like, how did my ancestors get probiotics into their diet? You know, what were they doing? And I looked into it and I realized, oh, they were using sauerkraut and fermented foods like kefir and, you know, miso in some situations. I mean, really, you have to look at your own heritage and figure out what was your ancestor using. And so sauerkraut was a big one in my ancestry. And so I started making it.
Which is pretty easy.
It's real easy. Yeah, I recommend people just eat like 2 forkfuls with each meal to get the probiotics they need and really help them digest their food. And, you know, I mean, people's digestion can turn around within a day or 2 of that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've seen even people's sugar cravings go away, like just from adding that one thing.
A condiment, essentially, right?
I know. I wish my secret goal is that it will become one of the top 10 condiments in the United States. And when I say sauerkraut, I mean raw, unpasteurized sauerkraut. Like none of the stuff sitting on the shelf that's like canned and pasteurized and cooked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because when I first got into this and started hearing sauerkraut's good for you, I went and picked some up and I'm like, this crap just came out of a can and it's all floppy and it's really, this is the stuff they put in Reubens is good for you? And no, not really. That's not how it works, right? When you start making it at home or when you go for there's like the artisan aisle, right? That's where it's usually found in health food stores or whatever. It's that weird aisle that's full of, fake meats and like butter substitutes and then just like this beautiful sauerkraut these days and kimchi and stuff like that. And I've been really impressed by where you can find good quality kimchi and sauerkraut these days. It seems like it's really taken off.
Oh, it has so taken off. I mean, it was literally like a missing part of the standard American diet, totally missing. There was no naturally occurring probiotics except like yogurt. A lot of people argue yogurt was a good source, but the probiotics in yogurt, the ones that are naturally occurring when you make yogurt usually die off by the time you eat the yogurt. Mm-hmm. And so what people do industrially is they add a bunch of usually lactobacillus or acidophilus, bifidus, various strains of lactobacilli.
Yeah.
And those are all bacteria that are produced in a laboratory. Mm-hmm. And then scooped up and harvested and shoved into the yogurt. And we're using the yogurt kind of as a vehicle because they can live and thrive there.
Right.
Using this as a vehicle, but we could just eat it, by making our own probiotics at home, making kefir or sauerkraut, things like that.
So for people who are intimidated by the process of fermenting foods, maybe they haven't done it before, what would you say to them to kind of get them started to dip their toes into it? Because it's a lot of fun when you start doing it.
Okay, I actually challenge every single person to make sauerkraut at least once.
Yes.
Challenge.
Okay, it's the sauerkraut challenge.
It's the sauerkraut challenge. I really believe, and call it lacto fermented veggies if you want, or cultured veggies. You don't have to call it sauerkraut if you don't want to, but make it at home. I have that. Do you see that white? Can you see the white crock in the background? I don't know if y'all will be able to see it.
I can see it, and if you're listening, there's a white crock in the background.
That's the one I use to make sauerkraut with. And
cool.
What I want you to figure out how to do is just make this yourself. I teach classes on it. I've got videos and things like that. And we can give people a video if they want to watch it. I can.
Sure. Yeah. Come to the show notes, fatburningman.com, Summer Bock. It'll be there.
Yeah. That sounds great. I would love to share that. And so I'll teach y'all how to make it. But here's the thing. What you learn when you make your own sauerkraut is not just about making food. You have to break through this old paradigm that you have about being germophobic and sterile.
Yeah.
You've been trained your whole life that bacteria are bad. I know that a lot of people are catching on to this. I know that for some of you watching, it's this isn't new information, right? A lot of people know about
probiotics. But you still need to hear it.
But you need to hear it. And here's what I'm asking in this challenge is that you need to experience it. Mm-hmm. Because when you make it the first time and you let vegetables sit on your counter and rot for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 and then scrape off the top layer, sometimes it gets mold, sometimes not. You then eat what's under that top layer. When you actually physically have to do that, you are physically changing the way your brain works. You are telling your brain, we are now operating in this world in a totally different way than we used to.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many different options for fermenting things. If you are more adventurous, what are some of your favorites?
I love kefir. I think that's a really fun one. You can make it with coconut milk. You can make it with raw dairy. But kefir in the store is not true kefir.
Yeah.
It's actually a kefir-like beverage. It's kind of really like a different sort of yogurt. It's an industrial process. So if you're getting real kefir, you're using these little grains. They're called kefir grains. It's not like grain like gluten.
Right.
They're called kefir grains, and they're like clear gelatinous cauliflower-looking blobs. And that's the best way I know how to describe them. And you plop them in some milk, and in about 24 to 48 hours, you have kefir, and it is loaded with probiotics. I mean, really, really good kinds of probiotics. Miso is probably one of my absolute favorites to make because it's just crazy. You let beans sit for months, and they become delicious.
Yeah.
Like how? What? I mean, I know how. I teach this all the time, but I mean, it still blows my mind, you know? It blows my mind that we can, like, okay, here's what I want people to also understand, and really what I think is so fun about this. I keep using the word rot, but I'm joking. It's not rotting. It's a controlled environment. And the reason it's controlled is because there are so many of a certain kind of bacteria or yeast that are growing. The one we want to grow is like growing, it's proliferating. It's producing its own natural antibiotics. It's actually preventing other organisms from growing there. So it really truly doesn't rot. It ferments naturally. It ages. It cures. It becomes actually a naturally preserved, very stable food product that was very beneficial back before we had ice boxes. You know, back before refrigeration. This was crucial to like the survival of our species. So we've been evolving, co-evolving with these organisms forever. And what I find utterly fascinating about that is that when you have the right bacteria in your gut, they're doing the exact same thing. They're producing natural antibiotics in your gut that prevents, you know, pathogenic bacteria and yeasts from growing there. Yeah.
So how do you rehab the gut? What are some things that people can do at home? Eat fermented foods, definitely. What else?
Yeah, eat fermented foods, definitely. I would say you really want to feed the fermented foods. I'm sorry, let me say it again. You really want to feed the probiotics.
Yes.
And so you want to feed them. The best way I can say, a real easy way is like, you know, they love vegetables. They love vegetables. They like some fruits too, but like straight up vegetables, cooked, raw, I really don't think it matters.
Yeah.
That is one of their absolute favorite foods.
And they start to crave it after a while.
They really do.
I get cranky if I don't have my greens.
I know, me too. I know. Who knew?
Just the like party girl didn't know, right?
Yeah, the party girl, Taco Bell, Dr. Pepper drinking girl was not like, oh, I'm going to need some kale someday.
All right. Now, you talked about allergies earlier. That was something that I had a really hard time with allergies growing up and at certain points in my life. What are some things that people can do at home that they might not realize will really help with allergies? Yeah.
Okay. So there's a tricky, like this is where it gets a little tricky because we can make some generalizations and say, okay, eat fermented foods and that can help. I mean, that was part of my process. But I mean, the process is longer than just like, oh, I ate fermented foods and I got better.
Yeah.
I did. I ate fermented foods for a period of time. I rehabbed my gut a lot by getting the right bacteria in there. And then I actually reached a point where I got like kind of overloaded with histamines and like had to stop eating fermented foods for a period of time. And had to rehab my gut that way too. I kind of had to go low microbe for a while.
Yeah.
And then once I kind of cleared that up, I was able to just eat them kind of whenever. I don't overdo it. I just eat them. I don't have reactions to them anymore. I don't react to food at all anymore. And so, yeah, I mean, so there's, you know, it's where you're at in your process of healing. So for some people, they're going to find that, you know, really getting the right probiotics in their body is going to work wonders. And then some people with allergies have a histamine issue.
Yeah.
This is something we see a lot. And so you kind of have to see if it's not working for you, there are other alternatives, and we'll focus more on like food and cleaning things, like more on like detox a little bit than on the rebuilding process.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I think of it. I think of it in terms of like cleansing and rebuilding. Like you take away and then you build back up. Amazingly enough, most people actually need to do the building first.
Right.
Because we're just in a society where like most people are just nutrient deficient.
Yeah. And
you have to have nutrients to let see, this is the thing. You create the right environment and your body will heal itself.
Yes.
If you give it the tools it needs, it will absolutely do exactly what it needs to do with those tools. And those tools really are, you know, nutrients, probiotics, like essential, you know, key components of building up the body. And so just getting those in through your food is important. Getting the probiotics in there is important, but then you have to have really highly functioning digestion.
Yeah. And staying away from the junk, right? What's your view on people, especially who, come out of a cleanse? Do they then all of a sudden go cheat meal, let's, celebrate, we've been so good? How do you deal with that?
I mean, honestly, that's where I look at people's emotional landscape and their stress.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know like what's going on where there's this like, what is this need here to like kind of reverse all the things that you did so well?
Yeah.
And for some of those folks, they're just overrun with candida. Like they have actually yeast growing in their body that needs to be killed. And we use various herbs to do that. Mm-hmm. For some people, that's the case. And, when they deprive themselves of sugar for 10 days, their body freaks out at the end, and the candida are like, we don't want to die.
Right.
So, just kind of depends on the situation, really.
Yeah. Well, let's shift gears a little bit because I know that you're active and you're awesome. What do you recommend, especially to other female listeners, in terms of physical activity?
Oh my gosh. Well, mountain biking, obviously.
The best.
I just got a brand new fork yesterday on my mountain bike.
Sweet.
And it is so fun. So, I mean, that's my personal favorite. Honestly, I think that people need, like, especially female listeners, like, you can't be exercising or moving your body to lose weight. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's your intention behind it, it's just not going to stick. Like, you have to find the thing that gives you pure joy when you do it, and that you're, like, expressing almost like gratitude for being in a body. That's like what physical activity is about.
Wow. That is like some of the best advice ever, I think.
Oh, yeah. My boyfriend runs all the time, and he gets done and he gets so happy. And I go run and I get done and I'm like, ugh. I feel, I mean, and I still do it sometimes for other reasons, like, but like if I can't go do something else and I need to get some activity, it's the easy one, right? Yeah. When I get done riding my bike, I feel awesome. Yeah. So that's what I just want to, I want people to find the thing that makes them feel awesome. Is it dance? Is it, I don't know, even walking for some people, or hiking. Like, it doesn't need to be this extreme sport.
Don't exercise to lose weight. Do it because it's pure joy. Imagine that.
It's a freaking miracle that you're alive.
It is. Oh, that's so great. It's interesting because it took that same friend, Pedram, who I went hiking with, broke my foot on that. And it was such a blessing in disguise. This was about a year ago, because I grew up, in New Hampshire, and mountain biking was one of my favorite things to do. Cross-country mountain bike racing was like my jam. I loved it, did it with my friends. And then, over the course of time, for whatever reason, you just kind of start doing other stuff. You can't bring your bike to a place and there aren't any trails around, whatever. You make excuses. And I, over the years, forgot how much I just loved it. And so now, I got a bike because I could ride it with a broken foot for a while, and have been doing it ever since, usually twice a day with the dog. And it's just, it's a shame that people let that go, right? No matter what that thing was, remember, right? Like you were saying, for us, it might be mountain biking. For other people, it could be dancing. It's that pure joy, that pure bliss that you experience when you really are in your element. So if you're listening and you let whatever that thing was go, bring it back, because if you're watching the video version of the show, you can see how happy Summer is. And I know that you're getting out there and hitting it, and you're probably not running that often, right?
I run some, but it's only on the rainy days.
Just the rainy days.
Yeah, I mean, when I can ride my bike, I ride. That's what I do. Yeah. I do it almost every single day.
And such great trails around here.
Oh, I feel so fortunate. I can't wait to get you out here and get this. It's so wonderful.
I can't
really
wait.
Fun.
Awesome. Well, we're just about out of time. This is ridiculous.
Okay, yeah.
But before we go, please tell people where they can find you, what you're working on, and all the other awesome stuff.
Yeah, so the two best places to find me are summerbock.com. It's just like the beer, summer like the season, B as in boy, OCK. And there's some great stuff over there. I've got lots of videos to watch and some really hilarious interviews and things. And then also on gutrebuilding.com, I've got some great tips on like how to rebuild the gut, like what you can start doing like pronto. So
rock on.
That'll be cool. And then I think I'll make sure and get that video to you guys. So that
Please
you guys
do. Yeah. So go to fatburningman.com, Summer Bock, just type it in the search bar. You'll see how to make your own fermented food at home. I've done it with my folks, my family, my wife. It's so much fun to get everyone involved and actually create living food. It's a fundamentally different thing from cooking or whatever, because you feel like you're really creating something.
Yeah, you are. You're creating billions and billions of lives.
Yeah, there you go. Creating millions and billions of lives. Well, Summer, always a pleasure to see you and talk with you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Abel. This is great.
Did you make a resolution this year to drop stubborn fat, improve your health, or finally bust through your fat loss or training plateau? Good news. You still have time to join the Wild Diet 30-Day Challenge in our online membership community, the Fat Burning Tribe. We're here to help with all the tools, motivation, and support you need to get in the best shape of your life. For 1 month only, you'll not only gain access to our library of videos, recipes, articles, downloads, and a supportive group of community members, you'll also be able to grab your 30-day Wild Diet done-for-you meal plan, a $97 value, when you sign up. My wife Allison and I developed the 30-day meal plan using our favorite recipes backed by the principles of the Wild Diet to help you shed fat as quickly as possible while enjoying delicious meals and real food treats. There's a 6-pack under there, and we're going to help you find it. If you join the Wild Diet Challenge today, you'll get your first month of the entire program for just $1. It's a value of well over $100. So don't wait. The bonuses and giveaways expire soon. All you have to do to get in the fun is type in fatburningman.com/challenge. Once again, from any device, that's fatburningman.com/challenge. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Fat Burning Man. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the podcast app, or wherever else you might be listening to or watching this show. Got a second? Please leave me a quick review on iTunes. I always love hearing from you, and if you think someone else might like and benefit from this free show, please take a second to share it with a friend or with a family member. You can get in touch with me on Twitter at FatBurnMan and Facebook by typing in Abel James or Fat Burning Man. Drop me a line anytime. Did you know that I've recorded over 150 episodes of Fat Burning Man, winning 4 awards in independent media and hitting #1 in more than 8 countries? And here's some more good news. You can download and listen to every single episode for free. All you have to do is type in fatburningman.com. I'll give you a second to type it in, fatburningman.com. And you'll get all the show notes in video and audio versions for all the past episodes of Fat Burning Man. Better yet, enter your best email at fatburningman.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'll even send you a quick start guide to start burning fat right now and a few of our ridiculously tasty recipes as a special thanks for signing up. Once again, just go to fatburningman.com right now, enter your best email to get your free fat burning download straight to your inbox, and make sure that you never miss a show again. This is Abel James signing off. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great week.
We get to peel back another onion in that layer, and I think food itself is indicative of that as well, and it's almost like a metaphor for life, you know?
Yes, yeah.
I invite people, and I'm going to share my experience, and for those that know me, I talk a lot and I love it, and you get to listen, so.